following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Miller can beat you in 6 different ways.
Well, we don't have to worry about the news for a while. Like, our the Baylor.
Agreed. I was jumping way ahead. I don't bring anything else to this. I have to get a little bit of representation. That's all I've got. And it may not get you very far, but that's all I've got. Hey, Stevie. Hold on.
Welcome to the show. It's been a couple weeks since we burned on some stuff, so it's good to see everyone. Murph, Fonz, Parker. What's up, gents?
What's good?
What's up?
Doing well.
So we'll start this off properly with an ice-cold beverage. We're going to raise a toast to this brilliance right here.
Fouts delivers. Ball game over. Super regional over. And the Crimson Tide will ride this season.
That's badass right there.
All the way to the World Series.
She's a boss.
That was insanity.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I caught the first one.
Yeah. She had a Dan Marino knee brace on her plant leg.
Yeah.
What a journey and what a moment for Alabama and Montana Fouts.
This is sick. Sorry.
A lot of people doubted
Huddle up.
Crimson Tide and their ability to make it to
The
Oklahoma
bus is to
City.
the right.
But thanks to Jayla Torrance and Montana Fouts gutting it out, gritty performance, not at 100%, finding a way to make it happen in her senior season. The last
Crazy.
time that she's going to play
100th
in the
career
jersey,
win
she's
in her
going
last game
to Oklahoma
home to
City,
get her team to the World
and she's
Series
bringing
on
the
a
Crimson
blown
Tide
knee.
with her.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, she's got to be probably the best pitcher Alabama's ever had, right? Easily.
She's up there.
It's funny. I was having a conversation at work with somebody today about that. It's, in my opinion, it's between her and Jackie Traina. But I don't know. I feel like Montana's been more dominant, but then again, Jackie, that went, they won a national title in 2012. I mean, she was a stud. I mean, she was a stud. That's all I can say to it. She killed it. So, I mean, I can't put it any other way. And she was a big reason why we made it back in 2014. We didn't win it, unfortunately. But, I mean, she's a legend. Montana's a legend.
I think the trainer had better teams around her, although Montana's had some good teams, but she hasn't had a whole lot of run support a lot of times in postseason play.
I thought Team 25, which was 2021, was Montana's best team. And, that was the best shot at it. And I feel like
she threw that perfect game against UCLA, and then the Florida State game got weather delayed or something and didn't start till the early game the next day instead of the night game the night before.
Yep.
And I think that threw off
everything.
Like the preparation she has for a night game, and that I think just having to go to the next day, whatever, and Florida State just knocked her out like in the third inning.
Mm-hmm.
She got like 6 runs or something in 2 and a third innings, or just it was just awful, man. And we clawed back into it, ended up losing, I think, like 9-7 or something like that. Hemphill hit a couple of dingers in that game to get us back in it, and we just couldn't get over the hump. But I thought that was our best shot when she perfect game UCLA. That was the most dominant performance I'd ever seen.
Agreed. I feel like it's one of those, and I've spoken to Jeff on it before. I view Montana as a Bryce Young of women's softball. We had her 5 years, which is we had her a lot longer than we had Bryce, and to not win something, at least one. I'm not asking for the world on it, but I'm a little upset with it. Just a little.
I'm glad they at least made it to a World Series with Fouts, even though we didn't win it. But I'm glad we at least made it there, and now I've made it again. So I'm glad we at least got there with her. Like this team, I have no idea how this team is in the World Series. Like we cannot score.
Yeah,
at all.
I would say since
insane.
However many times we've made the World Series in the last 10 years, I don't feel like this is our best team. For Jeff's point that he made, they don't hit very well. They can't, and when you can't hit and when you can't put up runs, you put too much pressure on the pitchers, and it shows when you're having Montana however many innings she's pitched this year, and to the bats only having 3 to 4 hits and maybe a run scored. You can't win like that. And
her ERA is very, very low, and she has 10 losses this year. I mean,
can't blame it all on her.
She leads the nation in strikeouts, over 300 something strikeouts, 24 wins, the ERA under 3, and she has 10 losses. You're like, how in the world? Because the team can't score no runs, man. It's insane. Like at one stretch, we scored 3 runs total in 3 games and won 2 of them and got to the Supers.
Yep.
Then lost 4-1, then won 1-0, and then won 3-2. Like just crazy how they cannot score.
And see, on the other hand, you've got Oklahoma, which is a powerhouse who can pitch and have multiple people that have over 30 home runs. Multiple. That is why
Coach like the 27 Yankees, man, like murderer's row. Coach
Patty, even though I just despise watching Oklahoma softball, they've got it going on there. They've got something working there. And so here's what we're looking at. The women's college World Series.
This is the final 8. Bama, Tennessee. I don't know why they put that matchup together. I mean, we've already played each other this year. Why put this? Why make us play each other again in the first round? I don't know. That seems silly.
Is it based on anything?
See, I don't think so.
Seeds or just
seeding? Maybe seeding. Maybe it's based on seeds because OU's the top seed, obviously, but with Stanford the lowest seed in, I'm not sure how they do it. I'd have to research how they do the pairings. But however they did it, they should have seeded them where Tennessee and Bama wouldn't have played each other in the first round. I mean,
Jeff, does OSU have a couple former Bama players?
Yes. They got a pitcher and second baseman.
Is it Lexi Kilfoy and who else?
Lexi Kilfoyle is the pitcher, and then they got Megan Broadfoot.
I
think is her name. She was a freshman last year at Bama, starting second baseman, and then just transferred to Oklahoma State in the offseason with Kilfoyle. And they didn't go together, but they wound up there together. It was like kind of the Nate Oates deal. Like Murphy had, 6-7 players, new players in between graduations and portals. He lost, I think, 8 players off last year's team. So
and this year's portal pickups were not
haven't done much. We got a bunch of freshmen playing. We got freshmen all over the place.
And it'll be good for later on. I'll say that. But I don't, after this year, I don't know what our pitching looks like. Other than I think the Torrance
girl, will be the one going in next year.
She'll be the one. So that's not a bad one to have. Just got to have her be more consistent through the regular season, and then
I'd agree with that.
Other than that, she's come alive. I'll say that is one of Alabama's biggest things right now is that woman right there. She came on fire towards the end of the season and has really helped drive.
She saved the season because Montana couldn't pitch after her injury for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
And then in the regionals, she couldn't pitch in the regionals.
Yeah. Agreed.
So Torrance just saved the season, and then now they're splitting them. They're about half and half in each game,
which is good. It doesn't put a load on either too much.
I like Fouts coming in the 4th inning, throwing gas. For the last 2.5 innings of the game, just throwing heat.
Give her a break with her knee and everything. She can come in and give you a solid 2.5, 3 innings, and then
he's done a great job, and the pitching's been outstanding. So the decisions always look good when your players answer the bell.
Well, that's a lot of the things, and I've criticized Murph on a lot of things, and I'm not going to negate that. I'm going to say that I have. It's true, especially on the coaching, on the hitting. I haven't figured that out over the last. I know he's been there for like 20-something years, but, you got to change with the game like Saban does. He's changed. He's evolved. He's been willing to make a change, and sometimes you got to go out and get some recruits that can, not these slap hitters. But going back to what I'm trying to get to is the pitching decisions the last couple games have been really good. I do think the one where Montana came back and she made a couple forced errors, she couldn't field an infield ball because of her knee and everything. I think at that time, she just probably pulled her at that time because it was probably too soon. Even though I don't think we lost that game too terribly. What was that score, if you remember?
The one where she had the throwing error, I think we lost 4-1. If I'm not mistaken.
4-1.
And then she had the one yesterday that bounced off the knee brace. She couldn't.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but then she ended up striking out the next hitter or something, so that didn't come back to hurt us.
Well, see,
I think it was a hitter right before the one she struck out.
Well,
she gave up that bomb in the last inning, and then that one girl hit that comebacker to hit off her knee brace.
Can't do anything.
She struck that next girl out that we just saw. I think that was the next hitter.
I got nervous when I hit her knee brace. Like, oh my gosh!
Oh, see, I thought it hit her like forearm at first or ankle or something, and I was like, God, poor girl can't catch a break.
I felt bad.
Like, of all the knees, you hit the one in the brace? Come on.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I have I'm happy and proud of them for making it this far. It's hard not to overlook it and look at a team like Oklahoma and say, how are they not going to win it all? I mean, that team is legit. 49 straight wins in a row. Guys, I don't see how they're not going to win.
Fair.
Here's the better question.
Plus, they're playing at home for the whole World Series.
Basically, yeah, that's one of my main things. And then
their whole Legion travels 30 minutes.
I think it was on XM84 in the morning, Dusty and Danny in the morning on ESPN College Sports Radio. Give a little shout out to them on that one for that. But anyway, no, they stated, how hard is it? It's not even just hard to beat Oklahoma once, but then you got to beat them twice. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe they get beat once, maybe. And if you do that, that's great. But they're just so deep, and they got a lot of talent. And I don't know. They're my pick to win it all and go for another three-peat here. So
that's a safe pick. That wouldn't be a bad pick because they look.
I mean, I just don't.
They
know
look pretty
else.
tough. Speaking of tough postseasons, what's that?
How many losses does Oklahoma have? One, two.
They lost like the fifth game of the year and have won every one since. Or maybe the second or third game of the year, and then they've won 48 or 49 straight.
And FSU's ranked third, right? They're pretty.
Yeah.
They're
UCLA
good.
was second, and then they got knocked out in the regionals.
Yeah.
See, and I'm not saying like FSU's a bad team or Oklahoma State's a bad team or Stanford. All of those are really good teams. I think they're actually better than Alabama when it comes to it. But Oklahoma's a powerhouse. I just that is just insane how good they are. It makes me so mad that how good they are. I guess
all
that's
the time,
just how
too. Every year it sucks.
FSU not good at a lot of things, but women's sports they got that on lock.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
They won a national title a couple years.
They're
ago.
legit. I mean, they knocked Montana around a couple years ago and knocked us out of the World Series. So, I mean, they've been around. They're in there. They're in the mix every year. At the end of the year, every year they're in there. So we'll transition into this postseason bracket, featuring 87,000 teams playing in the men's. It's like quadruple elimination. So by the time you get to the finals, you've played an extra 35 games. To get to the finals.
But I'll say that give hats off to Alabama's baseball team and their assistant coaches on bringing it together after the terrible stuff with the traitor, the nuisance, the guy who should not be named, but I'll name him anyway. If you find him, you can punch him right in the face for me. Brad Bohannon. Just kidding. Just kidding. We don't promote violence here. Wink.
Yeah, we do. Screw that guy.
Off camera.
Dirtbag.
Dirtbag. No, but no, get back to the, Bama baseball. Yeah, I know, things didn't pan out the way we wanted in the SEC tournament. We got matched up with Vandy, thought we had a good chance, and they absolutely beat the brakes off us. And did they end up winning the tournament, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
correct.
Looking at it, in our region, we actually have a local team from our neck of the woods. Troy is in our region.
This is a very survivable region.
Yes.
I was just going to say we really lucked out.
Yeah.
Boston College does concern me. In some manner, they got a good team, a competitive team.
I mean, all those teams are good, but ACC good's a little bit different.
A little different. Yeah. And Troy's level, Nichols. I mean, that's a winnable region.
It is.
Especially in Tuscaloosa. We should come out of that pretty good.
My only concern is, y'all realize the guy who's been doing really well for us is not even our number 1 or number 2 pitcher. He's our number 3, and he's kind of hurt right now. So now we're about to go lean on a number 4 guy who is really good. But the other two, the number 1 and number 2 pitchers that we have, they're out for the season. So do we have enough pitching to get us through this? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It comes back to that thing. Can we hit the ball? Can we put the ball in play and, get some good base running and maybe steal a couple runs and make some noise a little bit here? But, the pitching is going to concern me when we come down later in the stretch here.
That poor lefty against Florida, man. God,
Yep.
That might be one of the worst outings I've ever seen in my life.
And I think he's the number 4 guy. The one you're
He's
talking
been our
about.
best reliever.
Yeah. I don't watch a ton of college baseball, but every time I've seen that guy come in SEC play, he's gotten shelled. So
it's rough.
I don't know if he was part of the sabotage or what. But
I don't know, but he was throwing sludge against Florida that day. I mean, he gave up 3 singles and a 3-run bomb, and they weren't like seeing eye singles or bloop singles. It was like 108 mile an hour exit velo single to left.
How many
112 mile exit velo single to right. 107 mile an hour single to left run scores, and then the guy put one in the trees like 600 feet.
Still hasn't landed.
The ball just disappeared into the night. I don't even know if it's come down yet.
It's still in orbit.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, I was just in awe at how they were raking this guy. And then the lefty on lefty, that dude hits one into the moon. I was like,
it was a moon shot.
Shoo. I mean, as soon as he ripped it, it was like, ping. And I was like, like Harry Doyle. I was like, oh, shit.
I'm looking at his numbers.
Hey, Serrano's going to need a rocket up his ass to catch this one.
They need a rocket up his ass to catch this one. What's his numbers, Fonz?
Yeah.
Well, he's only given up a run in 4 games this year. But it was 5 against Columbia, 1 against Alabama State, 5 against LSU, and 3 against Florida. So I must have caught him on his bad days. Because he looks like he's.
I'm
really
saying,
they mentioned that he was one of our better relievers. Like for a freshman, he had a pretty good season. But
and he is. He just has that tendency. He's still a freshman. That's that thing.
It was just the way he was throwing. Like those first couple pitches, I was like, guy looks like Andrew Haney for the Yankees. When he was throwing like 65 miles an hour down the middle, sinkers that didn't sink, and guys were just hitting them into the next county. Come on.
Goes. I mean,
it was like Chris Archer with the Pirates. That's what he looked like to me.
Yeah, that's a different topic. But
I was trying to think of some of the worst pitching performances you've ever seen that you could relate to, Fonz. And Chris
Tyler
Archer
Glasnow in Pittsburgh was embarrassing.
Oh, is he? Okay.
The only time he threw a strike was when it was like a 95 mile per hour fastball belt high. And any decent major league hitter is sending that 450 feet.
Yeah.
And they sure did.
Well, and it was gone.
Anyway.
Got a nice one, Jeff.
See, I don't remember Glasnow with the Pirates, but then he goes to Tampa Bay and he's throwing 98 on the corners, and you're like, okay.
Whenever he plays, he's only pitched like 50 games for him.
Both times he pitched for the Rays, man, he was lights out.
Yeah.
So coming in for this, can you pull up the graphic again, Jeff, for the baseball one more time?
Yeah.
For me? So looking at here, I mean, Nichols is competitive for their,
Where is Nichols?
Louisiana.
Thank you. I did not. I was going to say Georgia, so I was definitely wrong. Looking at here, Vanderbilt's a good seed. They got a good chance. LSU was my pick at the beginning of the season to win it all. Unfortunately, towards the end of the season, they've showed a lot of inconsistency. Now, if a betting man were to bet, you can still put money on LSU. They have a very good chance of running.
They got the best pitcher and the best overall player. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win, but
it doesn't mean jack. I mean, it's all about team play.
It always helps when you have the first 2 picks of the draft on your team in a postseason tournament.
So I'm glad I saw this. And I know y'all saw it too because I sent it in our group podcast text. Tulane made the men's College World Series tournament, as they call it, or College World Series, with a 19-40 record, people. The reason they are in, because they won their conference tournament. What in the actual hell are we allowing with that? 19-40. And LSU will play is that who they're going to have to play, or is it not yet?
They open with Tulane. Yeah, LSU opens with Tulane on Friday.
They will beat their ass like a Cherokee drum.
I mean, LSU they don't have to use their best their top 2 pitchers in the first game.
Won't.
They can pitch their number 4 to start the tournament.
So I don't even know. Like, if your tournament champion if your conference tournament champion is that bad, give me somebody who has at least a 500 record. That 19-40. Good Lord. That's like a 200 winning percentage. That's terrible.
It's not great.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But at the same time, like, they technically earned it. Everyone in that conference had the opportunity to send them home and should have.
I don't like the conference tournament winner getting an automatic bid in basketball either. I don't like that either, because you get a situation like this where some scrub wins a couple games in a row and sneaks in and then gets blown out in the first game. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Tulane, but 19-40, you shouldn't even make the conference. If you were 19-40 in the SEC, you wouldn't even make the conference tournament.
Oh, no way.
Like, you actually have to make the conference tournament in the SEC. So that's a better format, I think, than basketball, everybody's in, and then the crappy teams knock each other out in the play-ins or whatever. But
and the crappy teams are not 19-40. The crappy teams in basketball are not 19-40. They might be 25-20. I'm just baffled by that number, people. I am just lost for words. That is. But
does that grind your gears?
It does a little bit. But you know what? I'm going to say for that. To Fonzie's point, technicalities are technicalities.
I mean, they did earn it. They
did earn it.
You win your conference tournament, you get automatic bid, and they won their conference tournament. Whatever conference Tulane plays in, should be embarrassed that team is representing their conference in the World Series.
Well, ECU's in that conference. They're in the American
League.
And heck, they made a run. No, that was Coastal. That was Coastal. Sorry.
Most of their teams are not great. Like, it's not a good baseball conference. But ECU, they're always nationally relevant.
Yeah.
They're always in the conversation. They beat ECU in the championship. They played Houston 3 times. I don't know if Houston's good or not. They were the 2 seed in the
I don't
American
either.
Conference, but just crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if they're any good either. I don't really. SEC is the only college baseball that really I keep up with. I know Wake Forest hasn't lost consecutive games all year.
No, they're
that's what
good.
scares me.
So they're pretty good.
They're very good. ACC, the top of their conference, is strong.
Yeah.
Like Clemson is hosting a regional. They're not even the best in their conference. Neither are we, but so is Auburn, and we beat them. Did we sweep them in both times we played them this year?
No, I know they got us once or twice.
They got ones, yeah.
Okay, so
and then we're a lower seed than them and knocked them out of the conference tournament.
Well, I mean, do we really want to have that conversation?
They had 21 losses. How are they hosting a regional? They had 21 losses.
Jeff, you know why they're hosting a regional.
And a tie. They have a tie game and 21 losses, and they're like, you're hosting.
Do you know why they're hosting?
No.
I'll give you a hint. Their AD is a part of the committee. They got to choose. John Cohen. There you go.
Yeah. Same dumbass that turned in Lane Kiffin a few years ago when he was at Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
It was Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze, I meant. And then turns around and hires him 3 years later.
I was like, how the tables have turned, huh? Bet you won't be telling on him now, will you?
That's too damn funny.
Crazier things have happened.
That was too dang funny. Yeah, so I mean, it's a favorable draw for our region. I think we can easily survive it. Now in the next round, I'm not sure. We don't score a lot of runs on the baseball team either. We have a freshman that has like 22 home runs and 40 RBIs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you have 20-something home runs and 40 RBIs? Because nobody's on base ever. Whereas, Tommy Tanks at LSU has 22 homers and like 94 RBIs.
Was he the one who was at NC State last year? Okay.
That guy can rake. I mean, he can freaking
that guy's
rake.
So good. I mean, that's like the rich getting richer on that aspect. But then again, a lot of people talk about how in certain states it's unfair because Alabama's at a disadvantage compared to like Georgia, where they have the Hope Scholarship and they can give other scholarships versus Alabama, where we can't. We don't have anything like that because we don't have a lottery or anything, to that matter. But, it's just when I found out last year he was going to LSU, I was like, well, you might as well crown them right now because they were good last year. I mean, for the last 5 years, LSU's been really competitive in baseball. And for history-wise, they've been really competitive throughout history, if I'm not mistaken. So, Tommy Tanks and the number one pitcher.
That guy can rake. That guy can flip and rake.
And
he's only a sophomore.
Cruz.
Huh?
Dylan Cruz is even better.
Yeah. And Cruz had a down year. He only hit 430 with 17 home runs as opposed to last year when he went like 460 with 22 home runs. So he took a step back this year. His average fell like 20 points down to 430.
Smells like money. That's what that smells like. That smells like money.
You know what? Who he reminds me of, Fonzie, is Mike Trout. When you watch him play,
he does
center field. Like when you watch him hit, he's built like him. He really reminds me of Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I instantly think of when I see him.
Whoever gets him, which should be Pittsburgh. I would not draft a pitcher first overall, but he will probably start in Double-A, and we will probably see him next year around this time. I would guess. I mean,
I think you're right. I think about a year from now, you'll see Dylan Cruz either in the show or close.
At least knocking on the door.
He's already knocking on the door, and he's in college still.
Mm-hmm.
But
talent.
Yeah, I mean he's a bad dude, man. I saw him when I was in Baton Rouge once over the summer. One weekend they played their like inter squad scrimmage right before the season started, and it was free to the public just come in and watch him in an inter squad game. And And me and my friend went and watched about 3-4 innings. And, man, Cruz is just it's effortless to him. And he went on a slump late in the year, and his average tumbled all the way into the mid 430s. So I mean, you're right. You're gonna see him in the bigs, a year from now, I think.
I remember at one point, probably about halfway through conference play, because there's this guy on Twitter that's a Pirates account, but he keeps up with all the prospects and stuff. He's batting like 462. His OBP was like 660.
It's stupid.
He had
like a 1.6 OPS. You're like, what?
Yeah. He's getting on base 3 or 4 times a game.
Yeah.
Every night.
Like an 8 WAR. I'm like, God dang, dude.
It's just insane.
Like, chill out. At one point, he was hitting like 500 when he hit that slump and came back down to earth. But at one point, his average was 500. And I said, that's not fair.
No.
Like, come on, dude. These are college athletes. You can't hit 500 average off these guys. They're D1 pitchers.
In the SEC.
In the SEC. But, yeah, he's going to be a rich man very soon.
Yes, he is.
Very soon. Murph, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes, sir.
Those god dang Florida Panthers, man.
Yeah, time to hump, baby. Let's go.
Look at this. Taking on the Knights of Vegas, of Sin
Everyone
City.
doubted. Everyone doubted.
Everyone.
Including me.
Look at this path. Boston, grab some bench. Toronto, grab some bench. Another 1 seed. Carolina, get out of here. Facing yet another 1 seed. So they knocked off 1, 2, 1, and now facing 1.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive run for Bobrovsky, you former Flyer prick.
I've been enjoying all the Florida memes of Florida both upsetting Boston Bruins and the
Boston Celtics. Hats off. Hats off to the Miami Heat.
Thank you, Miami.
Jimmy.
I mean, it's a good day for Murph, dude. I mean, it's like partying down there in Jacksonville.
It sure is. It's awesome.
Watching what their neighbors in the South are lighting up. Isn't that where the Panthers are in Miami?
Yeah, where it's
Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine, which is basically south of Miami.
Yeah, or Sunrise. Sunrise.
Yeah, basically the bottom tip of Florida. That's where the Florida Panthers are.
I'm not even kidding. I think I've said this before on here, but their arena, like if you go look on a map, just type in Florida Live Arena, it's like right next to the Everglades. Just in a random
like in the glades.
I have no idea why
around it in like a mall in the middle of suburbia, and then just their arena's right there.
Yeah.
See, I thought they played in the same arena the Heat did.
Nope.
No. They don't.
Okay.
It's a bit of a placement for them.
They just said, that looks good. See this arena right here? Done.
I have no idea why they picked Sunshine.
Sunrise, Florida.
They should have moved up to Jacksonville, man. Come on.
Yeah, could you imagine if it was in Jacksonville?
They support the Jags relentlessly.
Yeah. It actually probably would be a better fit, to be honest.
Probably would. Well, the Jags are now with the Sunshine, man. The city is rejuvenated now.
That whole town is built around the team.
Yeah, the whole town is built around Sunshine Ronnie Bass.
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Sunshine is from California.
California.
Right?
He's from California.
In the playoffs, I thought Dallas may have crept in. They were starting to, I thought Vegas was going to sweep, and Dallas was starting to make moves, but they closed it. So,
yeah.
Dallas just fell apart.
Yeah, it was way too late to come back.
Was lights out in the first round. He was dog shit, for lack of a better term, in the second round. He was even worse in the conference finals. And then they were down 2-0 and they needed to win a game, and Jamie Benn just cross-checked the dude in the face while he's on the ground.
I was about to say, he just lost. He went Todd Bertuzzi and just or Don
after
or,
the game, he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have fell on him." It's like, dude,
No
you
kidding.
cross-checked him in the neck. Like,
that's like McSorley when he cracked Brashear in the face with a stick. Like way back in the day when he just skated around and whacked him in the side of the head with his dang stick, dude. Like,
just absurd stuff. But
maybe I shouldn't have fallen on him. Oh, really?
Was this before?
Maybe you should have
after
cross-checked
you
him in the
assaulted
throat.
him?
Yeah. Yeah. So what did he get? 1 or 2 games for that?
2 games. And they won both games. He was out.
And then lost the game. He came back.
And they lost 6-0. Which, I mean, it's not his fault. He's a pretty good player, but
yeah, he's been in Dallas for a long time.
His whole career. I mean, he's
okay. He's been there his whole career. Okay.
I mean, this isn't the first time he's done this stuff, though. He's known as kind of tough guy, but
kind of that guy. Yeah,
he's an idiot.
They call him an enforcer for a reason.
Kind of like what's his name, Gudis for us. All he does is just start shit. He
Yeah.
doesn't do anything.
Hey, guy sucks, but he's gonna go in there and start shit.
That's all he
He
does.
is. He's not good. He played for the Caps. He played for the Flyers. I've seen this guy a ton. He's not good at hockey.
He's great at giving the other team power plays. He's great at that.
Yeah.
He's made a career
Yeah.
out of.
Thank you.
I remember those Flyers days, man. Like I know this guy's game. I know this guy's act.
Mm-hmm.
He's like that modern day Ty Domi. He sucks, but he'll go in there and get a few penalties and rile the other team up, getting a few fights. But it's like then you step back and go, but he was a -8 and he had 4 turnovers in the zone. Like, what are we doing with this guy?
Hall of Famer. That's it, right there. Hall of Famer.
You guys remember when he squirted the water on that dude and the dude reached for him and the glass caved in and he fell into the penalty box with Domi and Domi like hooked him up and was getting ready to just start wailing him and then ended up releasing him.
His son's rough too. Ty Domi was.
Yeah. All those Domies are, dude.
Man,
that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen live was when that guy tumbled in that penalty box.
Hilarious.
And then Domi had his shirt over him, and I was like, if Domi starts wailing on this guy, like,
guys, Dylan.
Ty Domi would have killed him.
A, he would have killed that guy. B, his career would have been over because that guy would have sued him for everything he had.
Yeah.
About the time that he came to a few days later from the coma he was in. When they showed the footage, it was all over TV. He would have been like, well, I'm suing that guy for assault. I mean, it would have been bad. So for once, Domi showed restraint and didn't just bludgeon that guy to a pulp because
they interviewed him, or he was on Spittin' Chicklets.
Well,
like 2 years ago.
Time out. Repeat that.
Is that a podcast?
Yeah, it's like the big Barstool hockey podcast.
Please tell me. Repeat that one more time.
Chicklets. Oh man,
Spittin'
that is beautiful.
Spittin' Chicklets. Yeah.
That's a great.
Spittin' Chicklets. I love it.
And he was talking about that incident, and he has like, no remorse. He's like, "Yeah, I wish I would have beat the F off that guy." She's like, "Dude, you're like 59 years old.
I know,
and your life would have been over. Just like let it go."
He wants a shot now. He's like, "Find me that guy, dude. I'm gonna show up at his work, dude, and finish what I started."
Everyone knows.
Hey,
that guy would have been done.
Let him lace it up. Let him. He's 59 years old. Let them both lace it up and let him go one-on-one. You know what? Let's see it. It'd be great.
Here's another one for you, hockey nerds. What about Matthew Barnaby? You guys remember that guy?
Mm-hmm.
I've got an epic video of that fight Barnaby had with Lindros in Lindros' younger pre-concussion days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a fair fight. I'll just put it that way.
There wasn't many fair fights with that guy. He was in an era where there was more heft in the league. But, I mean, he was one of the good ones.
You know, Barnaby had a long career of fighting and scrapping and scrumming and that kind of stuff. But that day, Lindros beat him like a stepchild. I mean, he was like holding him up. I mean, he was just pounding him, and Barnaby's covering. He's just holding him up with his left hand. He's just wailing away on the poor guy. It was almost like Barnaby's feet are dangling in the air because he's too short. Because Lindros is like 6'4".
Yeah, he was a beast.
And on skates, he's like 6'7". And Barnaby's like 5'8". His feet are like dangling. It's like a kid when your kid's in trouble. You're like carrying him to the car, and his feet are dangling and stuff.
This isn't Rocky, okay? It's not real life, okay? If that happens, people like me, I want you to understand, people, you might win 1 time out of 10. I'll say you that. The other 9 times, we get our ass kicked, all right? It's not a great thing.
Hey, man.
It's not good.
Kudos to that guy for fighting Lindros, because back then Lindros was, in his early 20s. So he was just a man-child before his brains got turned to mush by the Devils. He was banging, scoring goals, beating the crap out of people. I mean, it was just
he was a generational talent. It's a shame it ended how it did.
So many things went wrong, and just so many injuries, concussions, kidney or his punctured lung, and all the crap with Bobby Clark. It just ruined what should have been a Flyer for his whole career, and been revered that way. But I'm glad they patched that relationship up. The Flyers and Lindros. I don't know about Clark or not, but
is Lindros okay now? Like,
yeah.
Really? Is he like?
Yeah,
okay?
he seems fine. I follow him on Twitter. I keep up with him that way.
I'm not a hockey guy. Obviously, everybody knows I'm not a hockey guy, so I'm just curious because when it comes to concussions, I get kind of pretty interested in stuff like that because hockey is a violent sport. Probably more violent than NFL football today. So
easily. Look at the protection football players get. Hockey players don't get none of that stuff, and they're getting shoulders in their chin.
And guys cross the line all the time,
all the time. They're getting whacked in the wrist with sticks, whacked in the ankles with sticks,
And there's ultimately at the end of the day, the refs don't really protect you. They can't call everything. I was
why you fight
up earlier, but you look at the Panthers, the whole playoffs, and there is multiple times where Radko Gudas is sitting on guys, cross-checking guys in the neck, just mauling people in the corner.
Gudas.
He never gets called.
He's getting screwed.
That's just how he plays. So they don't call it because every time
trending
he's on the ice, he'd be in the box. So
Gudas. I just cannot believe Bobrovsky has led these Panthers to the friggin' Stanley Cup Finals. This guy,
freaking killing it.
He's been unbelievable.
Props to him.
People, this is Hunter's shining moment. He is a Florida Panther. All right, guys. He has led it since last year, since we all joined the podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, the face of the Florida Panthers, I give you.
Right here. This guy right here. I want everyone to see this.
My man right there. The face of the Panthers.
Right here.
So, yes. No, Hunter, I'll give you that. Hats off to your team, buddy. You know what? I wish them the best. I know the Knights are pretty good from what I've heard, but you know what? Anything can happen, man. It's the Stanley Cups.
Now the Knights are weren't the Vegas in the finals a few years ago with Fleury, with Marc-Andre Fleury?
2018. Their inaugural season, they made the Stanley Cup.
And they lost in 6 or 7 games to.
They lost in 5 to the Capitals.
Okay.
So Ovi got his ring.
Ovi got his ring. That is one ugly dude, but he can score goals.
Last time
a lot of them. Nice. It helps whenever he just sits at the right circle, waiting for his one time.
And waits.
That's how he plays. But I'm also a Pens fan, so
yeah,
a little bit of bias.
Yeah, that's okay. He doesn't mix it up like Malkin does when he's on the ice.
See, Ovi gets his jabs in though, oh, he's just big. That's what everyone says. He's just big and strong, but he's taking some runs at people.
Yeah,
every player has.
You have to. If you're going to survive in the NHL, you have to.
But
chill.
There's got to be some physicality to your game, even the smaller guys. Or if you get a Flyers reject goalie who leads you to Stanley Cup Finals. Didn't he take somebody else to the finals too, or he just win Vezinas with the Blue Jackets?
He had one good playoff in Columbus. He was decent last year. I don't know where this came from. He's always been kind of rough in the playoffs, but a lot of that is the teams in front of him too. Like he never really had a great team in Columbus. They were always kind of like muck it up.
Yeah.
Grind down the opponent, score the greasy goals, which is a lot how Florida is actually playing this postseason.
Yeah.
Like, they're the team of destiny. If they didn't have Sergei Bobrovsky, I don't think they would have beaten Boston. Like,
no.
You
I
know,
agree with that.
Well, even the first half of the season, Bobrovsky was not our guy yet. They were bounced between him and like Knight, who was like 20 years old or something like that. So you had like goalie and like this new kid on the block.
That's a flashback to a previous episode. You had mentioned this, Hunter. You said that they were floating between the two.
Yeah.
And
that was, you know,
Alex Lyon at the end of the season.
Yeah, Lyon too. I forgot about
30-year-old journeyman.
Alex Lyon got some minutes.
Not good.
No,
not good. But he went on the run of his career to get them to the playoffs and took over.
Yeah.
So.
Now it's Bobrovsky.
Now it's Bobrovsky time. I mean, I did not see this.
No, not at all.
Not with Sergei. I mean, I think Sergei Fedorov was on one of those Columbus teams that Bobrovsky was the goalie on.
Oh, geez, yeah. Like early 2010s.
Fedorov played a few years for Columbus. I don't remember what years it was, but I know that he played at Columbus for a couple of years after he left Detroit.
See, that was a little bit after Bob.
Okay.
Or a little bit before.
I think he went back to Detroit for 1 year or something the last year of his career. I can't remember.
He was
Didn't Dominic Hasek play for the Panthers 1 year too when he came out of retirement?
Yeah, he did.
The Dominator?
Luongo was there.
Luongo!
Yeah.
Roberto Luongo. I can't forget that guy.
He was great. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Then he wound up in Vancouver after that, right?
Well, he was in Vancouver and then he was in Florida. So
and then Florida, okay.
He went to Florida twice. I believe. But yeah, Fedorov, he finished his career with Washington in 08.
Okay. 09. That's right.
He's trying to get another ring.
Is Washington the Caps?
Caps.
Yep, Caps.
And shut them down in the playoffs that year. So.
Well, when is it? So June 3rd is when Game 1 is, Murph. Is that right?
Yeah.
Didn't we look that up early?
Saturday is when it is.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
I saw the finals are on TNT. What in the heck is up with that?
They've all been on TNT.
TNT production is way better than ESPN, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
The panel's way better.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's in the panel? Who's in the panel on TNT?
It's usually Biz, Liam McHugh, Anson Carter, Wayne Gretzky does it.
Oh, yeah. There you go. All you had to say was that. I'm not even a hockey guy, and I know who Wayne Gretzky is.
I remember Anson Carter when he was on the Bruins.
Mm-hmm. He's fun. I like Anson Carter. Paul Bissonnette's great. Wayne Gretzky is like watching paint dry. It's the most boring human ever.
There you go.
Gretz isn't a bundle of personality.
Well, how old is this guy now? Like,
and Gretz got to be in his 60s.
Look it up. 60.
He could probably still score 15 goals in a season if you put him out there, even in his 60s. I mean, Gordie Howe played in his 80s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all he said. Yeah.
Shoot, how old was Thornton when he returned?
Jesus. 53,
I think.
Has there been anyone who's played in their 50s? Because I think there's some people out there who think they
Gordie
can.
Howe.
Really?
Gordie Howe did, yeah.
Good.
I think Chelios came close. I think he was in his mid-40s when he finally retired.
Yeah, Chelios was like 47, I want to say.
Yeah, I know. I think he's the closest I can remember coming to it, besides Howe. But Howe didn't play in the NHL at 50, but he played some level of pro hockey at age 50. I don't think it was the NHL.
he kind of played in that weird era where the NHL was still expanding. And there was only 12 teams, but there was another league that was prominent as well. Because he played in Hartford or something.
Yeah. Did the other league get absolved or absorbed into the NHL?
Or they just, like the USFL, they just ceased operations when the NHL was becoming the juggernaut.
The NHL, basically just took over all their markets. And sucked a lot of those teams in. But
yeah.
They had to cease operations.
That's how it goes.
Like my beloved Atlanta Thrashers, who had Atlanta's the only team to have 2 hockey teams relocate.
Yeah. They're vying for a third. They're trying to get Arizona.
I mean, they got a nice arena. They got plenty of equipment, probably sitting in the storage room underneath Phillips Arena.
I think it would be a lot better.
Or State Farm Arena.
In Atlanta than in Arizona. I think that would be a much better spot, especially with everything, recency bias with the Lightning winning a couple Stanley Cup.
This will be the second relocation for that franchise if they move from Arizona to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Were they in Phoenix?
Yeah, they're in Phoenix now. They were in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
they were the original Winnipeg Jets. Yeah.
See, that shocks me. I thought that would have worked out well there.
Well, then they moved to Phoenix, and then Atlanta moved to Winnipeg and became the Jets. So the Winnipeg Jets are still up there.
And the OG Atlanta team moved to Calgary.
Moved to Calgary. The Atlanta Flames are now in Calgary, yeah. All those Canada teams moved. Like Hartford moved to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver, or not Vancouver, but Winnipeg moved to Phoenix. But now they're back up there now with Toronto and Ottawa and some of those teams. But it just was weird how some of those Canada teams were rolling out.
And yet, the state of Florida is the hockey capital of the world.
Hockey capital of the world. There's more cups out of Florida in the last decade than anywhere else, right? I mean, Tampa, now Florida's in the mix.
Yeah, get fucked, everybody.
There's our 1F-bomb for the show, everybody. There you go.
All right, we're PG-13 now. You're allowed one cuss word. Remember?
The post I sent Jeff earlier about Lord of the Rings, how it's rated PG-13, and it
fucking
was
fool of a took.
That was so good. Hunter, did I send that to you too?
No,
God, I am sending that to you. That's one of the best things. It's the actors who played Merry and Pippin, and they're talking about how
Billy Budd and Dominic Moynihan or whatever, Mohanigan or whatever.
And they're talking about, because in the rating of PG-13, and I knew this, that in the rating for PG-13, you can say one really explicit and he was just like, they were all just naming times off when they could say something, and it was like, he said Fuckleberry Ferry or something like that. And I was like, that was one of them. I was like, that's pretty good. It's so bad.
It was pretty funny. You just have to send it to them. Yeah, it was hilarious. But hearing them say it in their accents too was even better.
Sending it to him now.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So yeah, now we're PG-13.
Yep.
When we start talking about hockey and the whiskey, man, we go from a G to a PG-13 rating.
Last time the Panthers were here was 97, so who knows the next time I get to have this moment.
No, the last time the Panthers were in the finals was 96 because they knocked my Flyers off in the conference finals to get there. With Lindros and LeClaire and the Legion of Doom. And then we went to the finals the next year against the Red Wings and got blown out. That would have been an 8-game sweep if it would have been best 8 out of 15. So, yes, 1996 behind John Van Beesbrook, the Beezer. Go look that up in your Panthers history, Murph. The Beezer. Everybody knows. If you know, you know. Another former Flyers goaltender later in his career.
I love that team. The 96 Panthers.
Was that Jovanovski?
It was Jovanovski in his rookie year.
Yeah.
They were just a bunch of scrubs, really.
Yeah.
Misfits.
Because that's what they were. It was hockey in Florida. Get out of here.
Yeah. Back when the Panthers were a real joke.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, huh?
That's before they catered the expansion roster roles to the expansion teams.
Didn't Yager play on the Panthers one of those years? Yager came close to his 50s.
The end of his career. Yeah, he played in Florida for a couple years. I mean, he's still playing over in the Czech Republic.
I think it's like 53 playing in the Czech Pro League.
Yeah, he's still scoring. I mean, he still looks like he could play in the NHL.
If he grew his hair out, he would be Penguins Yager. I mean, that's what he would look like. He looks exactly the same.
So I have a request from somebody who actually sent me in a text who's watching the pod right now, and he wanted me to make a statement for this. So all you hockey fans out there, I was dared to say that the Seattle Kraken are an extremely undefeated NHL team. What in the world does that even mean?
Undefeated?
Undefeated?
About the Seattle Kraken.
I mean, you can look right here and see Seattle got defeated right here, so they're not undefeated.
Or how about what's this? Maybe he meant to say underrated. Maybe the person meant to say underrated. He said underrated. That's exactly what it is. The Seattle Kraken are a extremely underrated NHL team.
That makes more sense than undefeated.
Sorry.
Well, they're a young team, so
yeah. Is this their second year, or was last year their first year?
Second year, yeah.
I'd say they're appropriately rated.
Yeah,
I don't know now.
Realizes there.
Well, the expansion game is different than it was years ago. You know,
I figured like a team being in that area would be. I mean, I know it's not based on money more and everything than a lot of things now, but I feel like a team like that would be really good in that area.
I mean, the city loves them.
Yeah.
Huge media market. I'm glad the NHL's there. Like that's where I wanted them.
The NBA needs to get back up there. Seattle deserves.
Mm-hmm. The Seattle Supersonics, baby.
Yes, the Sonics, man. Sean Kemp. Like that was my jam.
It's just they approached the expansion draft very differently than Vegas did, which is why they had a bad first year. But no one predicted Vegas to go to the Stanley Cup, but everyone's like, wow, they have a decent team. Like, they have a pretty good team. It's easy to build a good team through the expansion draft now. So I guess what I'm trying to say.
So, like Vegas going to the finals their first year. I mean, it's a different – they drafted for early success, and then – where it seems like Seattle drafted, to get younger players to get a core and then build on that.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
But I like the colors. I like their uniforms. I mean, I like they got a cool looking product.
They're just kind of
I couldn't tell you anybody on their team. Like I couldn't name one player on their team, but they're I love their colors, their color scheme.
Do you remember
this
Jordan Eberle on the Islanders or Jaden Swartz?
Okay. Blues. Are they both on Seattle?
Yeah. They have like Yanni Gourde from Tampa and Jared McCann from the Pens, who's now scoring 40 goals a year. Love that.
Dude, don't get me started. I could field an all-star team. It's like you with the Pirates. You can go around the league and make a team full of former Pirates that are rich and all-stars. And you can be like, well, he was a Pirate. Well, there's our second baseman for 3 years. Well, we drafted him. He was third base and then traded him. Well, there's our center fielder. Yep. I mean, you could just go – I remember one all-star game during the intros. There were like 9 former Pirates in the all-star game intros out of like – 25 players on the roster. They're like 9 former Pirates in different uniforms. But I remember distinctly going, that guy used to be in the Pirates. Well, so did that guy. Well, that guy was on the Pirates too. Golly.
I mean, obviously at different times, but in the past decade, we've had Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole, Jamison Taillon, Joe Musgrove, Tyler Glasnow. I'm sure I'm missing probably like 3 or 4 other pitchers.
And what to show for it?
Yeah.
We got rid of all these players for what?
Nothing.
Prospects.
That's another show we could spend a whole show on is those hot minor league prospects.
We're getting better, though.
Yeah.
It's starting to pay off with our new front office.
Hot minor league prospects. Like the Yankees. No, we don't want Luis Castillo because we have some hot minor league prospects we don't want to part with. Oh, you mean that guy hitting 110 in AAA? Yeah, that's a shame.
Wait, Jeff, hold on now. Talk about the Yankees. Who are some great contracts the Yankees have signed in the last 5 to 10 years? Was Joey? No, what was his name? No. There's been some other ones. I'm trying to remember who exactly. A couple of the prospects we picked up. A couple of them were supposed to be big names, and then they didn't end up becoming anything.
Clint Frazier is one.
Okay,
Frazier for sure.
I want to say he was a position player though. Outfielder maybe. Overpaid.
I mean, Jacoby Ellsbury they spent $150 million on, and he was dog crap.
Where'd we trade him?
He just got hurt, and the Yankees just kind of put him down in the basement. And then they found a loophole in his contract because he got hurt training with somebody not approved by the Yankees, that they were able to void the last year of his contract and save us like $25 million. Shrewd business operator.
Chase Headley was a rough one too.
Chase Headley.
I mean, we can all agree that the Yankee and Jeff and I actually talked
Aaron
about it
Hicks
earlier.
was a disaster contract.
I mean,
he had some okay years.
He had one good year, and then they gave him $70 million, and he's been a AAA player ever since.
So
he's Baltimore's problem now, though.
You look at it, and the Yankees being they're the richest franchise out there, and over the last 20 years, they've won two pennants. And Jeff and I, you and I were talking about it earlier. I mean, it's just you got to put out more stuff than this when you're that guy. It's like the Cowboys. Terrible decisions throughout the years have cost you. I don't know what else, what in the end of it, but I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, he had Tyone for a couple of years, rebuilt his career, and then he took a big contract with the Cubs. I don't know how he's doing this year.
I've
obviously
always
Garrett
he was a little bit overhyped. I mean, he's a really solid 3. I don't really think he's a top of the rotation guy.
He's not a guy you're going to pitch in the postseason regularly.
I mean,
in my opinion.
A lot of it was like he had cancer early on with the Pirates, and that took a whole year of development away, and he's had numerous other injuries.
Then he had Tommy John one year, I think. So but he pitched well enough last year to get him a fat deal. The Yankees gave Rodon $150 million, and he hadn't pitched one inning yet. They hadn't thrown one pitch yet. It's almost June. Said he has a chronic back injury. That's always lovely to hear when you're in year 1 of a 7-year deal that the guy you just signed has a chronic back injury.
That's a Ben Simmons statement.
It's like, did Brian Cashman not know that? Traded for Frankie Montas, and you got to have a rebuilt shoulder. What?
That's who it is. Gary Sanchez.
Oh, yeah, he's just picked up by the Padres.
Yeah.
His 3rd team of the season, and it's June. It's barely June. Or not even June yet, really, but we're a couple days from June, and he's on his 3rd team.
Gotta love it.
Not a market for 150 hitters that are suspect on defense at catcher. There's not a big market for those. I mean,
he was that dude for a while because he was on pace to hit
because he was hitting 30 home runs a year. You can overlook the defense and the catcher's hitting 30 bombs, but I mean,
I don't know what.
I mean, just this though, Fonz, just by being a baseball guy, is like if you're a catcher and are elite defensively, you'll have a job whether you can hit or not.
I mean, Austin Hedges for the Pirates.
Yeah.
He gets a ton of flack, and, like, I get it. He's frustrating to watch hit. He's probably the worst hitter in baseball. He's so good at calling games. And his
pitch framing and calling games and holding. I mean, there's a whole
so good
bucket of things that go into playing catcher.
It's a premium position. I mean, you're fully expecting to spend $5 million and get a 220 hitter that's going to hit 8 bombs a year.
So, speaking of that division, guys, I know Jeff pays a good bit of attention since he's a Yankees guy, but the Blue Jays were leading the division about a month ago, and now they are in last place. But Jeff had mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned in the podcast earlier, but record-wise, everybody has a winning record. And then the Blue Jays being last place, they have a 27-25 record. So,
Tampa Bay is going to win that division unless they have a massive tank job.
They should.
But that division. Everybody's above 500, so that's a bloodbath of a division.
I think it's going how it was expected to.
Well, the good thing is we don't have to play 19 games versus every opponent anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only like 14.
They changed it. It used to be they cut away 2 series basically.
Yeah, it used to be that loaded. You play your own division X number of times, whatever, that unbalanced schedule. Mm-hmm. But they got rid of all that, thank God. Like everybody plays everybody now in at least a series a year.
See, we've never talked about this on here, but I've been meaning to, and I wanted to see what you guys thought. But I like seeing all the teams now and all the different players around the league. Like Pirates played in Seattle for the first time in 7 years.
Yes, I love that.
But really made you earn your division titles. Like in the NL Central in 2014, there was 3 teams that won more than 96 games or something like that. So I don't know. I always thought that was fun, but I think I like this format better.
Yeah, I'm with you on the fun part if you get a division like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll have like the AL West where it's Houston and then everybody else is playing at 375 ball.
Yeah, and most of the time it's not like that.
Yeah, and then Houston wins the division by 25 games, and they wrap it up in July.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I'm with you. When you get where you got 3-4 teams that are within a game or 2 games of each other and they're just grinding it, and those end of the season series are like took on a whole new level of intensity. So I'm with you there.
Mm-hmm.
But
might have been
this
15.
is definitely funner getting to see everybody and having everybody come to your park, in rotating year basis. So the Yankees are playing in Atlanta this year. So that means I get to go to Atlanta and see the Yankees. Next year, Atlanta will play in New York. And then the following year, New York will play back in Atlanta. And that's how they'll do it going forward.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
When do they play in Atlanta?
I think it's the 14th, 15th, and 16th of August.
Okay. We need to time up a trip to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for that.
Do a live podcast from there.
Yeah.
From Truist Park.
From Truist
Me and my
Park.
buddy Brad went last year to two of the 3 games, the 3-game series when the Yankees played them last year, 2 years ago. I'm sorry, it was 2 years ago. It was the year the Braves won the World Series, so that was 21. So that was the year he and I went to a couple games, and that's a beautiful park. I mean, that park is amazing. That whole area is amazing.
Yeah, I'm going in September.
Cool. I mean, you can get there 5 hours before the game and and go eat and go to the museum and go to you can kill that time in no time there. I mean, just getting in the stadium, there's so much stuff to see and do inside the stadium and the food and all that stuff. I mean, they did a really good job.
So much to drink. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't as nice as Fulton County Stadium, but it's still pretty cool. That was before y'all's time, though.
I know exactly where that is. It's over where Turner Field is. It's literally across the parking lot.
It's the parking lot for Turner Field. But they left the outline in the parking lot of where the bases were and the infield was, and then Hank Aaron's piece of the wall where the ball went over. They left that up.
All right, guys. Anybody got any closing statements? I've got to run off here in a little bit.
Softball starts Friday. Baseball starts Friday. Postseason college baseball, the Women's Softball World Series. And the Stanley Cup starts Saturday, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Saturday.
Thursday, right? I think our softball starts Thursday. I could be wrong.
Did we start Thursday? I thought we played Friday morning, but I could be wrong.
I think we play – I'm checking right now. Thursday. No, we do play Thursday at 12 against Tennessee.
Thursday at noon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you said that because in my head I was thinking Friday for some reason. Maybe that's baseball.
Yeah, I think you're mixing up baseball.
I think baseball starts Friday. Okay. So, yeah, big stuff coming up. So, next week we should have some hot stuff, hot topics to burn on. We're also inching toward our Major League rewatch episode. We'll start promoting that as we get a little bit closer. I told Parker today I got to figure out how I want to do it because we can't just show the movie on the show. It would get copywritten.
Right.
So I got to figure out what clips I want to show and how we want to do this rewatch. So I'm kind of bouncing some ideas around on that, kicking some things around on that with some other.
Is it available to stream anywhere?
Yeah.
I'm sure like on Amazon you can order it on Amazon.
It's not much. It's like $3.99 or something.
$2.99 to rent it.
Do the watch party thing, and like we won't show it on the podcast, but we just say, "All right, we're starting now," and we just watch it together.
I mean, could you have the voice and like all the
That's
sound?
what I'm saying. I got to figure out if we can like show clips. If there's no volume, are we okay? Or if you can hear it,
yeah, I've seen
see
other
it. Are we okay?
Watch parties, but you have to be very careful.
Yeah. So we're still got to iron out some kinks on that, but that's in the works. We are going to be doing that. I've already been working on some graphics and some cool little intro video for that episode. So if you haven't, that's our homework over the next few weeks is to make sure we watch that movie again, which I watch it about once a week anyway.
It's so good
because it's so good. But if y'all don't, if you don't incorporate it into your daily viewing schedule, make sure you guys give it a watch sometime soon before we do that show. It's so good. That movie is so good.
Hey, and whenever that show decides to come up, special guest appearance from, we shall see who it is, but that'll be next time, guys. That'll be next time we find out who it is.
We will talk about that some more as we get close to a day. We're going to nail that down where everybody can participate and watch the movie and we can have a good time because that's one of the best movies ever.
Is the special guest Charlie Sheen?
I don't know. We'll see.
It's actually Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
From The West Wing.
Yeah.
We actually got Michael Sheen from Underworld.
Underworld. It's a deep cut.
You know what? Let's just throw it all out. Emilio Estevez. That's just it.
Hey, I'm down for that.
Gordon Bombay, you better believe I'm down for that.
Because ducks fly together.
That's right, baby. Kenan Thompson. All right, gentlemen. Well, it's been a fun week. It was good to see you guys again after a couple weeks off. So, like I said, we'll have a thick show next week with softball and baseball, and we'll know some more there. And we should have game 2 ought to be somewhere around there. If game 1's Saturday, game 2 or 3 ought to be somewhere around Tuesday. So we might be in between game 2 and 3 or in between game 1 and 2. So we'll have a little bit to burn on there too. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Go check out our merch shop right here in this little QR code. There's some cool designs. You get mugs or stickers or whatever. It's pretty funny. Just goofy little stuff. Nothing crazy. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And gentlemen, until next time, roll tide.
Roll Tide.